Southampton and the Solent, the legendary stretch of coastline, which for centuries has been the spiritual home of Britain's maritime industry. Which sort of makes it the perfect place to get behind the wheel of two awesome powerboats. This is Shamrock Quay, the home of one of the most successful powerboat experience companies in Europe, Saber Powersports. Every year the staff here take around 4,000 people out on the water in an ever-growing fleet of boats.
Our experiences range from about £50 to about £250, and it depends on which boat and how long you want to go out on the water. They're all designed about having fun, and almost all the boats the client drives themselves. So they come down, we give them a little bit of instruction, and then we get them to drive. Everybody loves it. Everybody likes a bit of an adrenaline buzz.
So what is the best boat in terms of sheer excitement? Well, it's not that one. But it could be this one.
The boat we've got here is a 300 horsepower Hypercat, which, so my insurance company tell me, is the fastest commercial boat in Europe. It's a catamaran, and the centre section of the tunnel will suck air in and it will give the boat lift. Because you get the boat to lift out of the water, it goes a lot faster.
I'm going to take the mercury-powered Hypercat for a ride down the Solent with Simon. Then, once we're in open water, I'm going to run some high-speed circuits, which should be pretty spectacular.
This boat actually does just over 65 knots, which is about 75 miles an hour, which is very, very fast on water.
Although it's not advisable to go racing around a busy waterway with no idea of what you're doing, it's certainly not illegal, and I could actually pilot a racing boat like this at crazy speeds on my own if I really wanted to. But I prefer to live, which is why I have a professional instructor. Simon is an ex-powerboat racing champion, and there's nobody who knows his waters better. So he'll be doing all the tricky throttle and trim stuff. I'll be doing the fun bit, the steering. But is it hard to learn?
To drive it to sort of racing standards is very difficult, but we can usually teach people to drive within a few minutes to actually get out there and have fun, which is what it's all about.
We'd started off slow, keeping to the 6-knot speed limit in Solent, but now we were in open water. No more speed limits, no more rules. Just me in control of a £60,000 racing boat. Right, here we go! 300 horsepower! That's nearly as much as a 3.7 litre V6 Ford Mustang has. The Hypercat may sound like a mad moggy that's OD'd on energy drink, but just look at it go. 70 miles an hour over the waves. That is awesome. This boat has been designed like a supercar. It's very light, very powerful, and has just enough comfort to make it bearable at high speeds. But essentially, it's a hardcore racing machine. And that means when you open it up on choppy water, you need a hardcore Kevlar spine. What's odd is that if you were to liken powerboats to cars, this would be sort of an aquatic Ferrari. It's light and powerful, with enough sporty luxury trim to make it a good-looking boat. The Hypercat is the very essence of powerboat racing. Even if you've never seen one or ever heard of one, you know with a name like that, it's not going to be a butt-ugly bathtub. Now, you might wonder why I stopped the action. To tell you that from the quiet of the harbour. Well, when I said it the first time, you wouldn't have heard a single word. our speed increased, I soon learned how to do a very good impression of Quasimodo. Before finally our camera could cope no more. So we stopped to get our breath and wait for 2 more boats to arrive. Although I soon began to wonder whether I parked in the wrong place. I've just been overtaken by a giant hovercraft. Well, there's a sight you don't see every day, and you wouldn't want to get in the way of one of those. But soon we were moving again, on our way to an offshore rendezvous with Chris and Ebony, 2 other top-class instructors. The guys at Saber had arranged a 3-boat experience for us, and each one had a very distinct personality. The Hypercat had been an incredible experience though, and as I jumped onto my next boat, I began to think what an anticlimax the next 2 were likely to be. I mean, look at them. An inflatable dinghy and a fishing boat versus a £60,000 racing machine. But I was wrong. This is Thunderbolt, a super lightweight rib powered by a 90 horsepower Yamaha EFI engine. It costs a third of the amount you would pay for a Hypercat, and yet it has the kind of handling that can snap your neck. It is outstanding. This is when the boat really comes alive over big waves, where you can actually get some real airtime. But the real selling point of the Thunderbolt as an experience is that you sit up front, alone. So the view is unrivaled, and the feeling of speed is stratospheric. This is fantastically good fun. But all too soon, it was time to move on to our final boat. A bulky water taxi, a slow trawler, a fat man in a swimming race. Right? Wrong. The name gives the boat's true nature away. It's known as a jet viper, and it goes like stink. Now, because the Hamilton jet drive is constantly running, the only way to really bring it to a halt is to shut down the engine. It also steers in a rather unique way, and for that reason it takes someone who knows what they're doing to handle it properly. Which is why, for this part of the experience, I will mostly be clinging on for dear life. This thing is powered by a meaty 2.6 litre diesel engine and was built in New Zealand. It allows Saber to take entire groups out on the water for high-speed thrill rides. And pound per thrill, it is probably the best family boat experience around. Of course, you can book a leisurely cruise down the Solent, or take a more extreme ride in open water, and I mean extreme.
This thing's fast, and I mean seriously fast. These seats are padded to iron out the bumps. It's not helping.
Southampton really is the perfect place to take to the water. It's known as the gateway to the world, and its dockyards have launched thousands of ships, including the infamous Titanic. So, as I pictured the elegant liner heading out to sea in 1912, I suddenly had an unexpected Leo moment. I am the king of the world! But as we pulled quietly back into the harbour, it was make your mind up time. So which boat is best? Well, it really had been a fantastic day, and as a passenger ride, the Jet Viper was incredible. But in terms of sheer adrenaline, you have to be behind the wheel. So it's a choice between the Hypercat and the Thunderbolt. In terms of style and power, the Hypercat has to win. But in my mind, it's not enough to beat the intense driving experience of the Little Rib. So, the Boys with Toys verdict? The Thunderbolt is the best powerboat experience on the water.
And JJ will be back with more Boys with Toys fun next week. But if you want to find out more about Powerboat Experience Days, then you can visit Saber's website at www.sabermarine.com.